Hey fam, if you click this video, it's not by accident. It's because you're ready to reconnect and relearn yourself. Today, we're kicking off a 1 month self-commitment, not to fix yourself, not to reinvent your whole life, but to slowly reconnect with you. Getting back to loving you. Committing to putting yourself first, your passions, your desires, your needs. We're going to peel this back layer by layer. No pressure, no perfection, just you as you are. So grab a notebook, your phone notes, whatever you got, because we're jumping right in. For those who don't know me, I'm Ebony Aliyah, founder of Fruits of Ali, a New Jersey nonprofit, and storytelling in all its forms has been and still is the thread of my life. Today's focus is simple: knowing thyself. When we start reconnecting to ourselves, it's usually easiest to begin with who we've been. So that's where I'll start. I've always loved films and stories. I studied film and television production. I started in theater and eventually moved behind the scenes, directing, producing, shaping narratives. What I didn't realize at the time was how often my professors saw my potential before I fully did. They pushed me to advance, to stay in their classes, to take my projects further, even when I wasn't sure I was ready. That validation mattered. It helped me understand I was on the right path, choosing my passions, choosing what gave me a spark. Later, I moved into social work here in New Jersey, going into homes, working with families, advocating for education, connecting people to resources, and helping youth and families transform their lives. Early in my career, when I felt completely out of my depth, the Department of Children and Families audited my cases and sent me a praise letter for helping reduce the number of youth being re-referred back to the state, and for the level of advocacy and support I provided to families. Still a storyteller, just listening more than speaking. But what stayed with me the most wasn't the recognition, it was the relationships. I was still a storyteller, just listening more than speaking. And when I left the role of a social work and mental health, families cried. It shocked me, but I cried too, because stories create bonds. Sometimes we don't realize our impact when we're deep in the trenches. It's only when we step back, reflect, and look again that we see the fruits of our efforts. Then I taught abroad in South Korea, my first time living in another country. A new culture, a new pace, a deeper respect for education and educators. I learned freedom there. I learned how resilient I was. I took a leap, and from then I kept soaring. I later ended up living in the desert of East Africa in solitude at an all-women's university where I had the role as a professor. I was a professor, I was a guidance counselor, I was all the things. But in that quiet, I started to hear myself again. I created a multimedia storytelling club, helping young women find their voice, build confidence, and take ownership of their stories. And that's when it clicked. Every version of me, filmmaker, social worker, educator, was never about the title. It was always about voice, about helping people remember who they are. The script I used to live by said, my value comes from how much I do, how many people I help, how strong I stay. The script I'm choosing now says, I already know who I am. I just have to listen. And that's the shift I'm inviting you into this month. Before next Sunday, sit with this one question. No overthinking. Who were you before the world told you who to be? Start with what feels easiest. Maybe your work, maybe a moment, maybe a version of you you haven't thought about in years. We're not rushing the rebirth. We're preparing for it. This is just the beginning. I'll see you next Sunday.